What's going on, Sumolings? Thank you for joining us for another product walkthrough webinar. I am Lindsay, and I am joined by the team over at SocketLabs. SocketLabs Cloud Email is a trusted email delivery solution for transactional messaging and marketing automation. You can get it right now in our AppSumo store, starting at just $69 for a lifetime deal. Before we dive into the walkthrough, I just want to tell you a few quick things. The first is that if you would like to tell us about your use case, why you're interested in SocketLabs, we would love to hear all about that in the chat room over on the right-hand side. If you have any questions about the tool, about the deal, about how to get set up, anything like that, leave those questions in the Q&A box down below the video. We will circle back to those questions at the end of the walkthrough. And then the last thing is that there will be a replay of this available, so you can watch this as many times as you want. And hello to those of you who are watching this replay. I hope the future is treating you well. All right. Hey, David, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome, Lindsay. Thanks very much. And welcome, Sumolings. Trying to, yeah, I have that problem too sometimes. So if you may get some inadvertent noises here and there, but hopefully we can keep it rather calm. But
I'll
yeah,
try my best.
hanging in there like everybody else, and we're doing our best, you know, operating in the remote land that most people are in these days. So hopefully we can go without too many wild things happening. But
We'll see.
yeah, I hope so. So yeah, thanks, Lindsay, for the opportunity here. I'm just going to share a little bit about what SocketLabs does, and have some PowerPoint slides here, and then we can go in and take a look at the tool. My name's Dave
Amazing. Take it away.
Oh, okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm Dave McChrystal, as was stated, but the VP of Marketing here at SocketLabs. So I'm going to walk us through some things today. Just going to talk about who we are as a company, what we do, what we focus on, and how reputation is a big deal for us and why that is, and how you know, how we're fundamentally put together. And then we're going to look at, I have some slides here about the account setup process and what you'll see when you're going on and onboarding with AppSumo. And then we'll go into more of the live demo and talk about features in the platform. And along the way, I'm going to try to touch on what people are asking us and cover off on some of that. Real quickly, you know, SocketLabs is a mature 13-year-old company. We've been around as an email service provider since the beginning of the email world. And you can see, you know, that in the middle there, our proprietary MTA technology, we actually started out as an on-prem business and moved this to our cloud many years ago. So we've got thousands of happy customers around the globe. We're excited to be here for the AppSumo community. And you know, I think we can share a great experience with you folks as well. We really specialize in high volume email delivery. So from transactional to marketing, it doesn't matter to us. Our focus is on the technical aspects of getting the email delivered. We have, as I mentioned, cloud and on-prem solutions still, which lets us do some really cool things. And the fact that we control the technology is a big differentiator for us and lets us make customizations and innovations that are otherwise difficult for other companies to do if they don't control that technology. And another one of the key differentiators, and many of you may have already experienced it, is our services team. Really proud, really, I'll touch on it more later, but we're really proud of the team and how we're able to provide great service, because email is not simple. It's complex, it's always changing. So we need to be helping customers do their jobs better and to really, in many cases, be invisible if that's possible. And we're doing a great job of it. That's why we have a 98% customer satisfaction score. Visually here, you can see some of the great brands here in the quilt that we're serving. So we'll touch about just a touch more about that later. But you know, a lot of people trust us to get the messages where they need to go. So focusing on increased deliverability, making sure that you're getting the most out of your investment in your system, which, you know, if you're doing these kinds of things yourself or with others, we believe that, you know, we offer a better answer for that and more efficiency. We have the ROI of hitting the inbox is obvious to most folks. The more efficiency you can get with your campaigns, the better, and the more money you'll make there. We're really focused on increased security. Security, we've been holding a webinar series about deliverability over the past few months. You can see those assets on the website. But talking about authentication and encryption have been several of the topics. Talking about reputation next, up in August. And there's just so many details that we are proud to be helping our customers handle in order to best match up with what the inboxes are looking for to get the deliverability high. You know, we are the next to last bullet there. We're basically set it and forget it. Customers say that, you know, once they're working with SocketLabs, everything it just works is the most common thing I get when I'm working with customers on case studies or other documents that they're helping us with, testimonials. And we are there to scale as you do. So we have customers that send excuse me, a few thousand emails per month. We have customers that send 500 million per month. So we've done the scaling bit. We're really strong. The infrastructure is beautiful, and the team is supportive to help you get where you need to go with your sending. This is the additional details I was mentioning with customer, customer overview, and this is just to show the varieties of different places. So the HMP, they're sending healthcare related newsletters. We have Maritz doing in the CX, customer experience and survey field. Supercuts, you're familiar with, the big retailer, so transactional messages and appointments and so forth. Penn State University with their acceptance emails, and there's some other areas that we help them as well. Panera Bread's probably the most pervasive and well-known name out there. We're doing, every time you buy a sandwich online, you're getting an email that originated at SocketLabs. And payroll providers, major payroll providers use us as well to make sure that those critical messages get to the inbox. So I mentioned, and this is something that does come up a lot in the questions that we've seen, is, hey, you seem to be focused a lot on your acceptable use policy and making sure that I don't have, am I able to send cold email, or do I really need opt-in lists? Or been a few of the questions. And the simple answer is yes, and here's one of the big reasons why. We measure reputation. We look at how, if you look at the impact on a platform's reputation and the sender's reputation on their ability to get their messages opened, it's just blatantly clear that it's critical to have a strong reputation. So if you look at this is the bad, low, medium, and high are measures that Google creates in their Postmaster tools, if you're familiar. And so we looked at our customer base as an illustration of how customers' open rates track to the reputation that Google is scoring for them. And thankfully, the bad category was really difficult. We don't have, we have incredibly few, just less than a handful of customers to even pull that data point from. But you can see that those that exist in there are delivering or getting their messages open very seldom, all the way up to the high reputation, and the message open rate is tremendous. So this is what happens. The platform, the shared IP platform, we're keeping it at a high reputation, which means better outcomes for everyone in our universe. So we talk about the science of hitting the inbox with SocketLabs, and that's because there's a lot that goes into maintaining that reputation. And this is, just a quick schematic to try to show how that fits together. We're helping with strategy, stream configuration, authentication, as I mentioned, that's a biggie. That's growing importance, especially with DMARC becoming, and BIMI becoming more industry standards that are going to be adhered to. And really forcing authentication to be strong in order to get good inboxing. Email design plays a big role in it, and we can advise in that regard. Intelligent delivery rules, which is applying the long experience that we have in the industry of knowing how certain inboxes handle the messages differently, knowing the right ways to adjust the settings to get them to retry failed messages appropriately, and simply how to, and how to get get your email optimized for the different places that it's going. And then engagement tracking to help customers really understand what's happening once the message is getting to the inbox. Is it being liked? Is it being is it engaging the audience, and are people clicking on it and doing the things that would help us further our business? So all of that goes to getting the next layer down there: appreciation by the mailbox providers, getting your messages thereby into the inbox, and creating the customer experience that we're all trying to do. That's our business, right? That's everyone on the line here's business, is causing some type of positive customer experience. So that's what our focus is as well, but all of this goes into it. And then on the back end, providing the analytics so that we can be continuously improving this. And we'll talk some more about some of those analytics. Transactional email is really, I mentioned a few of those cases, and that's awesome. We're incredibly strong and incredibly experienced. I'll point out the variety of marketing cases, because marketing is where there are definitely more variables and more difficult. Inboxing is more difficult, and the lists are the list quality and the message variety and so forth is much more challenging to deal with. That's why people are always trying to find a better way to do it. But we're being successful here in a lot of areas, you can see. So from e-commerce to multi-channel marketing to customer loyalty, AI, and working with a variety of CRM and marketing automation tools. It shows that we have the experience, and the system is flexible to handle virtually any use case. The team is continuously innovating the platform. We've been around, but we want to be around. So we're continually pushing. The traffic routing I talked about, that's continuously being modified. Control of the underlying technology is key for many of these pieces. Advanced encryption techniques. In fact, we were the first to adopt the MTA STS encryption standard mid last year, I think it was. Simplified email encryption to allow customers to do this more quickly and simply without the headaches that can come with applying encryption to their email links. Secure engagement tracking. Again, we've created really simple ways for people to access these types of technologies. Very simplified API integration. We'll look at a little bit of that in a few moments with regard to the libraries that are available, and the copy and paste code samples that are available. And as well, within our MTA, or on the cloud and on premises, we support, more recently, we added support for AMP emails, which is the interactive inbox is going to be a hot topic, and it already is, but in years to come, it'll be even more pervasive. So we're there on the cutting edge, helping customers move along. There's a little bit of redundancy in here, but I want to touch on the top pieces. That infrastructure that we have, it's built to, of course, with the deliverability in mind, but suppression list segmentation, automatic IP warming. Our process is a managed process so that the customers don't have to be concerned with that or have folks on staff that need to worry about these things. This is what we worry about. I mentioned secure engagement tracking. We have white labeling for the domains to enable you to build your own reputation and strengthen the authentication of your messages. And the last one there, we'll talk, show a little bit about how that works, but really, we believe simple onboarding and the ability, we're always trying to improve, but the ability to start sending your messages really quickly. And then, this graphic is actually about availability. We have multiple data centers across the US. We have built-in redundancy in our sending, and we can set up any variety of environments to ensure the highest levels of availability depending on the customer's needs. Reporting, touched on it earlier, but this is an area where our StreamScore tool comes in handy. That's available on the 75K plan, but adding deeper granularity into the email performance so you can understand what's going on. So email, you can look at, and we'll look at some of these measures again in the demo, but you can get down into the failures. Why did something fail? How is my campaign performing by the hour or by the day? Very granular reports down to the codes for the failures, so you can again dive deep in to the extent you're interested, understand the underlying causes, and excuse me, and then start a plan to improve and remediate the situation. I'll dive real quickly into StreamScore one more bit, and again we'll see it in the tool when we get there. But excuse me, this is a quantitative scoring system that we've created to help visualize and help you understand what's going on with your best practices effectively. So it's a reflection of not the things that I mentioned on the infrastructure side, which are availability and the performance and your settings and your configurations, but this is how your mail looks to the outside world going through, and it helps identify the issues that we may want to improve performance. So on a scale of 1 to 100, obviously we would love to be sending at 100. That means we look beautiful in the eyes of an inbox provider, but the things we're looking at is hard fail score, which is really about the address quality, the block score, which is something to do with the content. It could in fact be weak authentication. We see that often with folks that come to us, or it could even be the way a message is built, the words in the message, and a variety of other things. And that's where diving into the codes can be helpful for our consultants. The spam score, understanding how much of the mail is getting to the spam, past the spam filters, and what's being caught. And then the complaint, which is really first measure of engagement, which is how the actual recipients are feeling about it. Are they complaining at a high rate, or are they apparently satisfied with the mail? Understanding those. So we score each of those, give them, and give you the ability to dive in and then take a look at why something may or may not be working well. And I mentioned already our services, again, huge kudos every time we're talking to customers about the way our team is able to help. The email's a funny thing, as long as everything's going well, we don't hear from a lot of customers because, as I mentioned earlier, they feel that why would I need to engage with you? It just works. But email's a dynamic environment or industry and environment, and things happen, changes occur, things break out of nowhere. Google changes the way they look at things, and the inboxing process changes. So our team is standing at the ready to help with day-to-day requests, really fast and personal service. And then we also have in-depth consultative services available for people that need to, who have significant needs and complexities in their business. And we work with them to really build a strategy around their email sending. So all of this is on the deal page, but I thought it was just worth noting, and looking at some of this as a direct result of feedback that's come from the community over the course of the last couple of weeks. But beyond what was originally in the deal, hopefully all this is reflected and visible now. But StreamScore detail report, as I mentioned, that is available on the 3-code option. We have made dedicated IPs available. They're typically, for higher volume sending is where those become really interesting when you're building your own reputation, but they're available on our plan for an additional monthly fee for those that are interested and can access that through our support team. Additional messages are available beyond the plan limits, and that can be, that's billed at the basic rate. But that again is something you can set up that customization with our support team, and it'll allow you to extend beyond 25, 50, or the 75,000 messages per month. And then for those in the AppSumo Sumoling community, we have a 20% discount for anything that you would be doing going forward. Any new plans that you might need, if you're, as an example I gave earlier of somebody that's rapidly scaling into to new levels and needs, we'll certainly honor the fact that you came in as part of the AppSumo community. So what I'm going to do now is change gears and talk about what that looks like, what beginning the relationship with the AppSumo community looks like if you haven't done it already, and how you upgrade through it so you're familiar with what you're going to see. This is an example of what someone would see having purchased a code or multiple codes, and from the asking for that process to begin by redeeming the code on our site. So this is a customized AppSumo page, talks about the 25,000 email per month, and the code is dynamically entered here. You create the account. You have to add a little bit more detail on the second page for the account sign up process. And this is where, we've tried to make people understand that this is not just a simple, check the box and move on process that our team does. We have automated vetting that goes into the new accounts, and then we have each account reviewed manually, because maintaining that reputation is central, as I talked about earlier. But once the account is set up here, then we'll go, we'll take a couple seconds here to actually execute and work based on your request. And assuming we can get you verified, you're going to get this notice telling you that your verification email has been sent to you. And that's verifying that you are who you say you are, obviously, and that your business email is valid and functional, and that we get that code in here, and then we're moving right into the onboarding process. So this wizard is really helpful at helping people get some of these key deliverability factors established and helping them, again, get on their way quickly into the use of the account. So sending the first email is one of the key first objectives there. So a big question that comes up all the time is, how many sending domains can I associate with my account? And the answer is there is no limit to that. So you can come in and at first, of course, you need to at least set up one sending domain, but we allow unlimited sending domains. Once I have my domain established, how am I going to, what are my plans in terms of how I'm going to send? Am I going to connect with SMTP credentials? Am I going to connect with my developer is going to build around the injection API or any of our other API? Or am I going to use our marketing tools, which are, as we'll, look through, very a simple set of tools to help people build newsletters, simple messages, and set some basic rules around drip campaigns and other timed or scheduled messages. So you can upload your list there, you can manage lists, you can take advantage of our suppression list features and send, certainly not full-scale CRM or marketing automation functionality in there, but allows a lot of folks to get, get the service that they need to use a neat designer and put something together that they can send out to their audiences. The example here of using the SMTP option, you can see you have your credentials that have been assigned to you available on the left-hand side, and then you define your sending application or choose it from the right, sorry. And then when that's in place, you'll be ready to send your first message. And when that test message arrives, we update the graphic here and show that we've got a successful inbox placement for your first message. So you've connected the dots, it walks you through, and now at least you've gotten to first base here. Now the second, the next screen talks about some of those important authentication settings that we talked about, and gives the customer an option to go establish more sending domains and to start creating customization in here, the custom bounce domain, to again make sure that the messages look like they're coming from you, not us, and to help you start building a reputation, allowing you to provide authentication measures like DKIM, and then ultimately into DMARC. All that's achievable through the dashboard that I'll be illustrating here shortly, and where you can set up your engagement tracking and get that process kicked off. So when all of these, you don't have to use the wizard, you can bypass it all and do it all manually, but I think that makes it really nice and easy. Now, once you're in and you have your account set up, if you went in with your initial code, the next thing to do if you are interested in the 2 or 3 code option is to upgrade. So you come into your account page and look, you'll see in your My Plan that you can see that you're on the 25K plan, and then use this redeem codes button here at the bottom to move up to the next level of codes. Or these other options are for the greater levels of sending that but that's not what that's not applying the AppSumo codes. That is done here at the bottom left. What you'll see then when you choose that is the 2 options available to you if you're on the introductory level are to get to 50 or 75,000. Whichever, if you have the 1 code you for 50, you click that, and obviously the 2 codes you'd click the other, and then you'll get the option to enter those additional codes, validate them, and then redeem your way up to the higher level of sending. So with all that said, you're going to end up in your account with a server that looks you'll be able to see that server and its status here in our account part of the dashboard. So that's where I'm going to drop off and actually jump over and pick up on the actual account. So this is an example of that page. I'm in the account area, and so this is an account that has 3 of those servers established, but you'll see the 1 like I just showed on the previous screen. So when you go and click on that server, or when you ever press the eject button to get to the performance dashboard, you'll wind up here, which is basically the front control panel of our system, and from where you can access anything that you need. So here on the top left of the dashboard, we have the billing period that we're talking about, the number of messages that have been processed. You'll notice that this says that there's 1.9 million messages sent out of 1 million. Well, that's someone who's taking advantage of their overages or the additional message features to be able to send, and they can put that setting wherever they'd like. We allow you to set it up. You can send 500% of your messages allotted if you'd like to put your setting at that level. And some people put it at 100. There's a variety of options there. We show you what the bandwidth usage is, whether there have been API calls. Here's how you would add additional servers if you have need for your business case to have multiple servers set up sending messages. For all of the activity that you're creating on your account, you can access and view that down here in the graphical dashboard. The setting here right now is for looking at the last 2 days. It's really easy to, for example, look at the last month. We'll see a graphical view of, I have to hit update, then you'll see it. But so what now I can take a look at, we can see we had some bursts of sending back here early in July. And the neat thing I think about this is you can actually turn off and on the different levels. So you're looking at how many messages have I attempted to send, how many have been sent, how many have failed, how many of them have there been complaints, and the opens, clicks, and unsubscribes. So these layers of results can all be, again, turned off and on to help with your ability to visualize the data and to help understand what's going on with your sending. Again, for helping understanding that overview, you have the detailed look that's here at the bottom. So the per mailing overview, you can look at each campaign. You have a daily overview where you can obviously look at that daily, and I mentioned earlier, even down to an hourly summary of the data is available. So moving up here into the top right is our StreamScore, which we talked about earlier, but StreamScore is giving me, in our overview part of it, it's giving me every single day in the last 30, it's telling me how my performance was. So I'm looking, I can look back at, those heavy sending days that I can see below here, and I can see that my score was 91 on pretty much all of these days. And I looked up to 93 here in the last couple, 92, and this is my aggregate score across that. So that's interesting. A 93 is better than something lower. It's not quite 100. That's where, but why isn't it 100? And that's where the StreamScore detail report comes in, where we can actually dive in here and look at the different parameters of the sending to see, again, I described them earlier, but the hard fails, the blocks, the spam score, and the complaint score. And we're able to see what is driving my overall. So this one, 82 is really what's pulling us down here in our block score. So, excuse me. So we need to take a look, you know, it's an opportunity. You could be at 95 and still have opportunities to improve your sending and obviously drive your performance and ROI greater. So there are people who are doing a lot of things suboptimally that have, you know, a much different looking StreamScore than this, but that's exactly what's important to understand. Where is my problem? Am I having those? Are my addresses coming in poor? Is it the content of the messages? As is this in this case, the drop is content related. And now I alluded to it earlier, but now if I want to understand that 82 score better, now I can dive into the failed messages report and actually look at each one of those. I can do the same kind of graphical representation as I showed you earlier on the home dashboard, and look at them. How many of these are permanent fails where the messages are just not going to be useful ever? The addresses are bad. How many are temporary where they're, you know, some type of issue where we would certainly want to retry? Could be that the person, the inbox was full, or it could be other technical issues with the ISP that they weren't getting delivered. But you know, it's identifying those, and then those that are on the suppression list as well. So you can go through this detailed result, you can see all the information that's available, to whom it was sent, the from addresses, the message IDs that were used, and the reason codes for the failures. So this is where you know, you can get some insight into it. It's always a starting point for our consultants when we get when we're engaged with a customer and trying to understand what's going on with them. We're starting out with the same data that we make available to people through the dashboard. So that's one example of the detail that's available here. You can see similarly complaint report. There are complaints. There's just not enough data here to generate a score that it's contributing. So we can take a look at the different complaints that have been received again, and, you know, begin understanding what it is that we're doing stylistically that's causing these outcomes. And that's where, you know, you can really start improving your overall performance. So just a, you know, quick housekeeping on this. What you basically can do is access the features of the dashboard in a variety of ways, many of them at least 2 ways. So I already showed you where you could see the SMTP credentials coming in. You can use this quick button here on the dashboard to get your SMTP credentials. You can get them through the API SMTP drop-down menu here. So, you know, there's more than one way to do several of these things. These are my sending and my APIs here across the top, and these are my more marketing tool related items here on the bottom row. But I'm going to go through quickly the different features of the API SMTP dropdown. You can always come in here and check out what your credentials are. You know, you don't have to memorize it, write it down when you're on that onboarding screen that I mentioned. That's always sitting here available for you. And if it needs to change, for whatever reason, you can update your SMTP credentials in this same area. For the API, it's a little different, pretty neat. I talked about the libraries that we have for developers to simplify the use of our sending capability. And this is where you can jump right in and indicate that you're able to use one of these libraries. I'll show you that in a moment. And then, or if you're just going to write your own code, you can just use the native injection API documentation. You can copy and paste it out of this sample code down here. There's different code examples, whether you're doing basic sending or bulk sending. And if you change your mind, you can always access the libraries over here. So if you actually want to get the C# library, click on that. And it's a custom set of instructions that helps you use the C# library, copy that code, and follow these instructions, and you'll be on your way using this feature really quickly. So we're very proud of that. And we're creating, you can see it's in beta, the management API, which is allows developers to access a lot of the server level features via API rather than having to create the settings here in the dashboard. So that's pretty exciting, another one of our ongoing development projects. So next, I'll cover quickly the email marketing center. It's really broken up into 3 areas. We have the ability to manage lists, create and send content, and then to get the reporting on the back end of what's going on with those sends. So not surprisingly, the simple, as I mentioned, for simple marketing challenges, not into things like A/B testing or in-depth campaign analysis and dynamic list building and those types of things. But if you need tools to create and send basic communications, this is very capable and effective and simple to use, we think. So you can upload your lists in here. You can manage your recipient lists later on. When you come in here, select what you'd like to do, create segments of those lists based on their behavior or based on any of the fields that you're capturing about them. You can add custom fields to, again, make your campaigns more robust and to complete your dynamic content with pieces of information that are specific to your business. Another really good one here is the web sign up form. So you can easily generate the code to create a form on your website or property to help collect the information for ongoing list building. And you can see a history of all that activity with this other list, of course. Creating and sending content, we have a very straightforward design center. We have a couple very, very basic templates that can get people started with some messages, and you swap out the images, swap out the text for certain alert emails, which are handy, obviously, during the COVID times. Or you can just get started on your own, jump in and start creating your own template. Very straightforward tool set here on the side to create your buttons, your lists, your headings, your dividers, and allow you to configure the message to your liking. Once that is built, get back, you can see how you can edit and send your emails. So you come into those that you've got staged, and you can actually come in and set the parameters for executing your campaign. Oops. Yeah, okay, so there's the HTML view of it, sorry. So other interesting features in here, I mentioned before, very, very effective, very useful, very common for basic drip campaigns. So we can set up messages that are based on timing. So if you're populating a list based on account signups and you want to send them messages a certain period of time afterwards, that's easily done here in the drip management, and then scheduled mailings where you can create the time and that in the future that you'd like your campaigns to go. Engagement, we've seen a lot of these reports, but they are all compartmentalized here within the marketing tool framework. So you can look at our mailings report, which is going to look very similar to what we saw earlier, and we can look at the failed messages report, which we saw earlier, but all specific to the different outbound campaign that you may be running through the marketing center. Taking a look at a couple additional reports, we've talked about most of these, but anything that you're trying to access, you can get it right through this drop down. So straightforward. A lot of people are maybe looking at what's queuing. That's something we hadn't talked about yet. And event searching. So the ability to look at do a search to find results of different different circumstances that may happen. So what are these different circumstances? I want to set up the ability to identify them so I can again work on my remediation strategy. Configuration is really the last section that we'll talk about, and the configuration, again, you see the ability to look at your SMTP credentials, the sending domains and defining them. We dive in there. You can see that you can create as many sending domains as you'd like. Very straightforward. And forgive me. And then I'm going to, excuse me, the custom bounce domains, we talked about them in that setup process. Again, you can come and define them in here further. All the engagement tracking features that we set up, so we help you, track the opens, clicks, and unsubscribes on your messages that are going out. So, some software has that functionality, but many don't, or customers prefer to use our engagement tracking features, and that can be set up in here. Non-delivery reports is a biggie because we're always curious about what's not working well. So if we want to, we can set up to receive the messages directly, so you don't have to come into this tool to see what didn't get delivered. You can have that set up to come directly to you. And the suppression list is a huge feature for many people. We had a lot of questions about that from SumoLings as well. But the suppression list is helping us get the obviously prevent ourselves from sending messages to people that have opted out, or people who were originally in our list who now we've learned have complained or have some other type of address problem that we know we don't want to continue sending to. And I mentioned that we had the sending limits. This account is set up that they can send 500% of their allowance, but you can set up sending limits, bandwidth limits, and so forth to just control the usage of the platform. If you have multiple people using the platform, it's a way of throttling the usage and making sure that you have control over what's going on in the plan. And lastly here, I'm going to talk about the DKIM signing, and this is again with the pressure that's been placed on everyone in the world with respect to cybersecurity and the protection of messages and privacy. Being able to set up your own custom bounce domains and DKIM and authentication is critical, and that's our team. We have what we call Auth 100, which is our objective to help every customer at some point in the future be fully authenticated with their email messages. So it's a big educational push as for sure, but something we're trying to simplify and help folks understand the importance of continually. So that there are, I mentioned them earlier, but there are some educational programs available in our resources area and webinars that talk about DKIM, SPF, DMARC, and other effectively the entire concept of email authentication. So with that, Lindsay, I think I have shared what I have here, and we're ready for any of the questions that you've got.
Awesome. Let's do it. All right, Sumolings, if you have any questions, now is your time to leave those questions in the Q&A box down below this video. I'm going to start running through the ones that we have here. How many domains can you send from?
Unlimited.
Awesome.
Yeah, unlimited sending domains is one of the neat features. So you can have your WordPress, multiple WordPress sites can be using the same account.
Amazing. Is your encryption end-to-end?
Yes. So, and the only caveat, and I never know the full underlying thoughts of the person asking that question, but I appreciate it. So what I will say in clarity is we provide encryption for as long as we touch the message. So email itself is not a secure technology. That's why people use technology such as portals. They notify you about your appointment at the doctor, and you go into a portal to get the details related. So we can't, once the message leaves our control, it's in the ISP's hands. It's not considered, by most people, they don't consider it delivered yet because they don't see it in their inbox, but we don't control it. So we don't control it to a person's inbox. Certainly once it gets forwarded, all bets are off in terms of us having any knowledge of what's going on with it. But we do have, there are settings within where we can certainly, customize domains to make sure that your sending from A to B is always done in an encrypted fashion. So a forced encryption, if you will. And the MTA-STS policy, maybe whoever asked is well familiar with it, but it's a way that we've adopted new industry capability to have policies defined about from the receiver's end. So receivers can say, I do not want to receive any messages unless they are encrypted. And the SocketLabs sending policies honor those types of requests and won't even send messages that cannot be, for one reason or another, cannot be encrypted. So we'll hold on to messages if we can't establish a secure communication channel by which to send it.
Amazing. Thank you. Can we set up outbound rules/filters?
Again, I'm happy to receive a deeper version of that question, but yes is the simple answer. We have fairly granular ability to set the sending rules to accommodate what customers are trying to do.
Cool. Do you have clients that are online communities or social media networks with excessive traffic?
Trying to online communities, I'm fairly confident we have several. So I don't know if the question is more about the use case or is about the sending volume. Really, I haven't been confronted with a use case that we don't serve in terms of industry. So that's, I guess, my best answer to the first part. But the second part is that high volume. We have folks sending 500 million a month. So it's not scaling to any kind of a sending volume is not a problem. There may be unique challenges to that use case that I would need our consultants to address, and maybe the person who asked is thinking, wow, we have this very unique challenge. So I don't want to give you a carte blanche yes answer to that we could solve what you're concerned about, but I have not run into the case that we can't yet. So happy to get a deeper version of that question and or get the help of our support team to give you more details about what you're curious about.
Cool, thank you. I see one of your client examples was HMP. Do you offer a HIPAA compliant option?
That's a great question. So I'll refer you back to the question I provided earlier. And so the answer is no. And the answer is no because we can't. And
Yeah.
and that's what it's not unique to us. It's effectively the challenges that come with sending email, which is
Yeah.
more or less an open type of protocol. So but what you will see is and what we do also when customers have the inquiry is we can provide the documentation explaining that what I said earlier, that it's encrypted from every point in which we touch it. So we encrypt it, for example, when email is sent, it hops from whatever the sending application is to our cloud, and from our cloud, applying all the rules out to the world and to the recipients there. So it's encrypted from you to us to out, and we can attest to that, but it doesn't technically strictly meet what the HIPAA business associate documentation would require.
Thank you for these thorough answers. With all of this data, do you also provide ranges or target suggestions for what numbers or percentages we should be trying to hit? And are there suggestions for how to improve?
That's a good one. I can't quote you numbers of that nature, but I do know, by the way, if you're interested in those kinds of statistics, Litmus publishes a great deal of them, and I would refer you there. And you can see a very fine breakdown. I don't remember which particular report of theirs I was looking at, but something in the recent year or two that breaks that down by industry, and you can see what your benchmarks are effectively for sending volumes. But I can tell you, and so that'll give you an idea of what others are doing. And in terms of what you can do, that is such a tricky thing to say without knowing, but basically that's what StreamScore does. So if I can simplify this world for folks, the infrastructure, and I'm not, we're proud of it, of course, the infrastructure is strong. The infrastructure sends email incredibly well. So when problems come up, when there's not deliverability, generally speaking, it's not the infrastructure's problem, so to speak. And but it's just simply stating that the business, the underlying message, and its aspects related to the sending best practices that are diminishing the effectiveness of a send or a campaign. So that's what StreamScore is actually about. I got it still up here on the screen here, so if it's still works. So that's we're looking across the chain of how well the list is collected. Then there's a white paper on our website about this, and you can see actually how different stream scores cause different needs and different reactions. You can have two people, for example, that's put into that white paper that are really bad stream scores because they're or they have a aggregate of 65. Well, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't tell me what to do. I have to look at the details, and one might be a 65 because of their hard fails. That means and it could be related to the way they're collecting names, and they're not validating their names, and they're getting a lot of blocks that way, and fails. Fails that way. Or it could be the block score is difficult, and there's some, in some cases, email providers block the message. Sometimes they let it go to spam. It's not an exact science, but we can see, well, they're questioning the intent here. There's something about it. There's something, and that requires the deeper analysis that these message reports can help you execute. So it's very, but I'll say the number one thing, and the first thing we always require before really even beginning in a consulting engagement to help customers deep dive on questions like that is, are you authenticating your mail? Because that's such an important, growingly important factor for how mailbox providers gauge your reputation.
Awesome. Thank you. Can we set up API keys per domain?
Can you set up API keys per domain? That's a fantastic question, and I don't know the answer. I'll have to learn that and answer appropriately. I don't want to guess at that one.
All right. I'm using Google Suite for my daily emails. Can I use the same domain with SocketLabs for web notification emails?
Can I use the same domain? Again, please give me that one. I'd like to
Sure.
take a swing at any of those, the more technical ones.
Yeah.
I've accumulated a lot of knowledge, but I know where it ends, so I don't want to mislead.
I respect that. I like that. Would I be able to track opened emails and who clicks on the link?
Yeah, through the engagement tracking, you can track the link clicks. Yes. All
right. We have some troublemakers. Maybe if you get suspended, how do you reactivate, and can you?
It's possible. I mean, there's certainly circumstances that we know occur, and that's why our network operations center and our service team there is I would say constantly working on those types of issues. So again, depending on the flag that went up, we're tightly managing the environment. That's what causes the suppressions or suspensions, and they can be in some cases very, very simple and easily resolved, and they go, oh, I see what happened, or this kind of oddity occurred. But I don't want to answer this in a negative way. So yeah, sure, that can happen. But yeah, the point of it is to really identify things that in this StreamScore world would be poor performers over time because of the best practices that are being applied. So that's why it's another version of the qualified yes. So if we can identify that you're doing a certain thing that's causing the bad outcome, and we can put a remediation plan into place, if you will, then totally, yeah, it's possible to get reinstated.
Amazing, thank you. All right. Does the suppression list feature only apply to emails sent from the email marketing center, or all emails sent no matter where they originate?
All email.
Awesome. Do you automatically restrict email addresses who do not open emails for, say, 3 months, for example? Or do you restrict us? There's more. Do you restrict us from sending to fewer or to less than active email addresses?
Oh, I see. No is the answer, but that's one of the best practices. You're gonna see that impact the hard fail score most likely, because X% of them, or your engagement, potentially the complaints. And over time, those will, the lack of engagement will have a diluting effect on the sender reputation. But
sure.
Yeah, I think that's the best answer.
Cool. Is there analytics available for campaigns?
Yes, in the sense that I just explained. So you would see the overall, or not at, there's not a StreamScore at the campaign level, if that was if that is the question. But in the campaigns that, as we saw, you get the ability to slice it by, by the time features, and soon we'll have by sending this week actually by domain and by recipient. So there is some slicing and dicing that you can do, and the opens, clicks, unsubscribes is at the campaign level. Yes.
Cool. Would this replace email clients like Google for Business?
yeah, if you're connecting, if you have that connected through an SMTP connection, anything that has, and that there are countless other questions of that nature that we
Yeah.
have received over the last couple of weeks. So, the general way of thinking about it is if there are settings in the application that you're using, nothing to do with development here, but if you've acquired something off the shelf, or you built it, or you're using a WordPress site or something like that, it's easy. We know, yes, you can go in with your WooCommerce, change the SMTP settings, and plug in SocketLabs in the place as an SMTP relay. You might always also see that terminology. So SMTP configuration, or setting up an SMTP relay. If the platform allows that, then yes, we can help out.
Amazing. And you actually just answered some of the other questions that we had here. It looks like we have gotten, we've gotten through them. Sumolings, if you have any more questions that you want to get in, another one that we've seen, another name that we've seen come up is MailChimp. Does this compete with MailChimp?
Yeah, I mean, I would, quite honestly, we not on the marketing automation side. So it depends on the customer's use. So if the point is that they're using MailChimp for the SMTP relay capabilities to send outbound mail, we can be a replacement for that. If they're very heavy, marketing feature users of MailChimp, it's got very robust feature functionality, A/B testing, that type of thing that we do not provide. So that's not something that we try to hide or misrepresent. So yeah, it would just depend on how you're using MailChimp.
Absolutely. Is the email parser API available in our accounts?
Yes. It just inbound messages go towards the message volume is the only thing
Awesome.
I think to add to that.
All right. And we did it. We got through the questions.
Right.
Thank you so much, David. I'm coming back on camera. Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us today. If you have not already, you can go to appsumo.com/SocketLabs right now to redeem your code. It is starting at just, I believe, $69. Yeah, $69 for a lifetime deal. And of course, is backed by AppSumo's 60-day guarantee. So go ahead and get set up, start playing around with it, send your emails, and see how it works for you. We would love to hear how it's working for you in the comments section. And if you have any more questions, you can, of course, leave those on the deal page. Thank you so much, David. This has been
my pleasure.
Wonderful walkthrough.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks for everyone's attention, and look forward to seeing you. Stay safe.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a good one.